I always sit here.
You're talking about different kinds of what?
So I can run it with me.
Thank you all for being here
Are you
tonight
gonna take pictures?
for our agenda work session, October 26th, 2017. We will be attempting to set the agenda for the November 9th, 2017 regular council meeting. Janet, if we can have the roll call, please.
Mayor Lambert,
Here.
Vice Mayor Sewell,
Here.
Councilmember Cagle,
Here.
Councilmember Elton, here, Councilmember Williams,
Here.
City Manager Miller,
Here.
City Attorney Little.
Here. It appears as if next time we will have Jason Martin here from Henderson, Hutchinson, and McCullough.
Yes, sir. Their hope is to have it finished. They're doing the last many things right now. State law requires they have to present it by December 31st.
Okay. Always good to see Jason. Looking forward to that. Right, as far as items of business, under old business, we would have item A, potentially before us on second and final reading. That would be ordinance number 1057 in regard to the library board. The state legislature has made some changes in regard to statutes pertaining to the library board and how municipal libraries are operated. We will be dealing with that tonight on the regular council meeting agenda. We have something before us on first reading. So again, I anticipate there will be plenty of opportunity for explanation and discussion there. Item B, ordinance 1058. This, although it says on the work session agenda that it would be second and final reading, it's my understanding that this item may be pulled from the regular council meeting agenda tonight. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
That's fine.
yes, the applicant has requested that this be tabled.
Okay.
So we'll be asking for that motion to be made at the 6:30 meeting.
Okay, so in theory, this ordinance 1058 may be before us the next time
Correct,
for first reading,
correct.
not second reading. Okay. Item C, ordinance number 1059. That's second and final reading as well. So again, we will have opportunity to discuss that on first reading during our regular meeting tonight. Looking ahead to new business and unnumbered resolution, which would, it says to amend resolution 2482 to change the minimum fund balance for the unassigned fund balance in the general fund, $4 million.
Right now, our fund balance is at $2 million. So on the November 9th
That's
meeting.
you mean that's the minimum required?
That's our minimum required by this, by the existing resolution. I'd like to raise that to $4 million. Predominantly because $2 million is really not going to provide a lot of financial assistance should the city incur a catastrophic event. Just looking at several months ago when the city of Athens got hit with a tornado, we were hit with a storm similar to that. It doesn't take much to get up to $2 million. So I think it's wise for the city to increase that. I'm proposing $4 million. I think we should discuss this a little bit during our budget session. So that'll be presented at the next council meeting on November 9th.
Okay, are there any questions?
What is our normal monthly pay?
Million,
Right around $1 million.
just, yeah,
So $1 million a month, if we have a bad hurricane come through here within, we got 2 months, because we don't get 2 million in the general thing there, so we're broke. So I agree with the 4 million.
Are there any other questions? How much money do we currently have in the unassigned fund balance?
About $5.4 million.
That ought to run on, last time I had it.
It's unaudited.
unaudited.
Okay.
Now that, to let you know that a little over $5 million, we've got some heavy bills that are coming up.
Sure.
Specifically on exit 1, which is pay requests between $500,000 and $600,000 a month. That contract is $5.7 million. We've got 8 months to get that job done, so that's probably about right. We have to pay that out, and then we put in a draw from the Tennessee Municipal Bond Fund to get those dollars back. Also, too, we've got $1 million state funds and $500,000 county funds for that project. So we pay the bills to be timely, and we put in for reimbursement both for the state and for the county. So that's going to vary back and forth, but totally we have right around $5 million.
Thank you, sir. All right, item B, another unnumbered resolution. At this point, it would be in regard to authorizing the advancement of state salary supplement payments for eligible firefighters and police officers. We believe this is something we do every year. We want to make sure that they have it ahead of the holidays.
Correct.
Okay, item C, another unnumbered resolution would be in regard to approving bids for the purchase of soccer uniforms for the 2017-2018 indoor soccer season. Are there any questions about that? Okay, I see none. Item D would be a grant consent agenda. Potential grants ahead of us would be the TML Property Conservation Grant, the Firehouse Subs Grant for the Fire Department, Firehouse Subs Grant for the Police Department. Okay. Item E is discussion of beer/wine sales on public property. Mr. Miller?
I had a request from several council members to have this added to the work session agenda for discussion. So we'll see what the council wants to do with this.
Okay.
Should note that you have 2 ordinances in the packet that I've provided, ordinance number 858, which is the beer ordinance of the city, and then ordinance 860, which amends ordinance number 858, which is the beer ordinance. Talks about temporary special event permits. I have yellowed that section, and such permit shall not be for any activity on city-owned or controlled property. So that would be the section that would be for discussion.
I guess my thoughts on this is, if this should come before a vote, pass, say, the special permit basically would, in the county, so Camp Jordan or over here, the pavilion over here we have over here, there would be no kids involved in the park. Is that correct? Or big event, they're gonna basically rent the whole park.
This all depends, the special event permit, the guidelines are going to have to be set by the council, basically, on what you want to entail in that. I can tell you what I have done in 3, 4 other cities that I've worked with in regard to special use permits. But you know, that can all be developed, but the decision on allowing beer and wine on city-controlled, city-owned properties is a policy decision. If the council makes an affirmative decision to proceed with allowing it, then as a city manager, I'm going to strongly request that a special use permit process be established that's rigid and that helps control, has standards in there to help to control the event so it doesn't get out of hand. But I don't put the cart before the horse right now. This council's going to have to make the decision whether you want to amend this to add, to allow it. Amend the beer ordinance as it stands now, and then go from there.
The part of the beer ordinance that was amended, that was discussed back in 2009 twice, and it was amended back then to eliminate it from being on any activity of city property, and started out that it could be. So that twice that same year, they are amending ordinance to eliminate the beer in the parks. Okay, then when you get to the end of the beer policies, you get my notes here. Page 2 has to do with the powers and duties of the beer board. But they are, actually, they're the one, because I went to the beer board meeting, and they had a request for a special permit thing. So that they dumped it up here in Ireland. So, if they was to go by their beer thing, well, then they have to turn it down. And then over here in section 8.207, A1, no beer will be sold except in places where such sales will not cause congestion or traffic interference with schools, churches, or other places of public gathering. And how many places of public gathering do we have in the park beside the arena? Okay. Then it says also to interfere with public health, safety, and morale. And then over here it's page 6, 8-211. I'd like to know how many Class 2 licenses we already have in these streets. And would this come under a Class 2 license that they would have to get to be able to sell beer inside the arena? And it says we're only allowed to have 8. And the rules of this thing read that people selling beer inside the thing, you've got to have a certain number of tables to sit a certain number of people. And then it says here, public places 250 foot from any school, church, or place of public gathering. Well, the duck pond, the pavilion across the street, well within 250 foot. So we have a problem there. And over here on 8-214, that's on page 7, it says, allow any person under the age of 21 of age to loiter in or about his place of business where the liquor is being sold or beer is being sold. And I know that people take their kids to restaurants, sit them down at a table, they're sitting with you. They're not running around listening to a bunch of people buying beer, sitting there with foul mouth and things going on, lowering through those things at the park. And also, item number 10 down there, and I marked this just for the sole reason because of the person that was at the beer board requested this thing, says they are not allowed to sell the beer in any establishment where adult entertainment occurs or adult materials, novelty, or other adult items are sold or stored. Well, a tattoo is considered an adult item,
What is?
a tattoo. Because anyone under the age of 21, if I'm not mistaken, cannot get a tattoo.
I think they can if they have their parents.
Well, I heard that at beer board.
Right, well, go look on my bus and look at it.
And, and this was amended for second reading, 8/27/209, ordinance 860, where it comes from the city manager to issue these special permits.
That's not a public property, that's a private business.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about our Camp Jordan Arena. The city manager designation shall have the authority with the city manager's opinion, beer board is not able to act. So the sale of beer period not exceed 3 days, that such permit shall not be for any activity on city-owned or controlled property.
Right.
So, and then in Title 11, Chapter 1, 11-102, reads, drinking alcoholic beverages in public, etc. It shall be unlawful for any person to drink, consume, or have any open can or bottle of beer or intoxicating liquor in or on any public street, alley, avenue, highway, sidewalk, public park, public stool ground, or other public places. Okay. And then 1102 still makes that same thing about the minors being around watering where the beer is being sold. And let's see here. Ordinance number 806 is referring back to chapter 2, section 8. The new 8-207A1, reading the same as ordinance 858. And also,
Ordinance 806 would no longer be applicable because 858, when that one was established, it was amended by deleting the entire chapter 2 in its entirety, adopting this chapter 2 as noted in 858 as the law.
then get down to, like Mr. Sewell said, Reading the Arena, just for a private party with no other kids around. A notice of limitations in the deed that's been recorded. LP, the LPRL grant thing reads, this property may not be converted to other than public recreation uses. This one right here says, the other one is NRTL, this property may not be converted to other than public recreation. This here is grants that we got to furnish County Court Park with, and the other two grants that we received read that it's for outdoor recreation. And the way it reads here, it says whether transfer or any other means. Okay, well, I looked up transfer. That's moving to another place, act or instance of transferring, authorization for transferring, and authorize means give consent. So I don't think we can give consent for this property to be used for private parties. It has to stay open to the public. And this LWCF grant, we signed that up with. So, on my personal opinion, the park was built for the kids. And I remember back when we got these grants to go build a park, and all of a sudden, Red Crew came and said, folks, we gotta get a softball league started. We gotta get 2 ball fields built down there, or we lose these grants. So, to me, the park was built for the kids, not for us to be down there. And if we want to have a place for people to have private parties and drink some beer, then we need to consider taking the property tax money down there, consider taking, combining with the county and investing down there to build us a convention center to do what we're wanting to do here. Keep it off of the park. Because the last time that the tattoo fund was down there was 4 or 5 other events. I don't know how many were filled, but it's gonna be hard to schedule a park where anybody wants to sell beer. That we cannot rent the rest of the park.
I don't know who's advocating for what amongst council members.
Well, it's right here. Who brought it up here?
Well, I understand that, who has brought the issue forward, but I don't know the extent of what is being contemplated. I don't think when we rent the pavilion to private groups all the time, we rent the arena out to private groups essentially all the time. I don't know that violates any of the grant agreements that we have entered into in the past. I don't know, again, I don't know what exactly is being contemplated. And perhaps it would if we rented the entire park.
My wife's having a baby.
I guess what I would like to know is what do we need to do to explore the avenue of having beer and wine on city property for special events? Can you look into that?
Yes, I will take those and come back with, I will research, I think the best starting point is other municipalities similar in size and see what efforts they have taken. I know the county did this a year or 2 ago to try to explore this, but I will undertake the effort to explore what other cities this size have done, what regulations they put in, if any, the permitting process. We'll see what incidents, if any, that have arisen as a result of allowing alcohol on public parks, facilities. And I'll get a report for you all.
All these terms with the beer board were voted on 8 years ago. A lot of things have changed in 8 years. And I represent the people that are against it and the people that are for it. So we have to explore this. And we could possibly lose some big events if we don't explore other avenues. And we may not gain new ones. I just think we need to look at this. It's the very thing to do for the people that do want this.
If council decides to move forward with a change, there are several different places, as Mr. Cagle pointed out, in the ordinance that would have to be changed. So it may end up requiring, if council decides to move forward, it may require doing just as this previous action did, and that is to replace in its entirety the ordinance with something different. I'm willing to listen to both sides.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, sir.
I too have been approached by both sides, so I think we do need to do our due diligence and investigate it and make a decision on this, one way or the other. But one thing I think we ought to consider too is we just recently passed, well, for Resolution 2666, which was the contract we entered into concessions. So we need to I think we need to probably explore that to see if there's any impact with us signing that contract as well with potential of having.
That's a good point.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I was at the beer board meeting tonight, the young man out there, and the young lady sitting here was there, and he was telling about a tattoo expo he had in Florida, when he had it in Atlanta. He's had two here in East Ridge. So when he come off the podium, I went up to him and asked him, because he made a statement that these two in East Ridge outdone those two, one in Florida and one in Atlanta. And I asked him, I said, was alcohol sales involved in those down there? He said, yes. So then I asked him, I said, then why do you need alcohol sales up here if this one up here has already outdone the other two down south?
Clint Powell had a boxing expedition, I guess, a few weeks ago at the arena, and he was saying that he was so pleased. Bill Owens did a great job. He said he lost between 200 and 300 walk-ins because there was no beer sales. Probably will not come back next year. That brings in enough influence and revenue.
He wasn't coming this year because he'd already scheduled it down there, and scheduled it where a place he could scare the rain, so he had to come here this year.
Well, I understand that, but we have to look at both sides of the issue. And that's what I want.
Mr. Litchford, not that you have a crystal ball that you can consult, but do you anticipate having some information to bring to us in 2 weeks?
I think I can get some information. Yes, it may lead to more discussion, but yes, I will get information. Councilwoman Helton has been clear what she wants, and I will get that. If there's others that you are asking for, let me know, and I'll try to get that information. But I will get information as I understand it. Really, if I understand the question, the process to go about allowing or amending the ordinance to allow for alcohol in a public park, and we will start there. If there's more questions, I'll certainly go for them.
Could we also consider, this council decides to go that way, could we also consider putting it on the ballot, let the citizens vote for it?
I think that would be a council decision ultimately. This is an ordinance that would be putting it in place. If it's, right now, generally for a referendum, it would be for something to change the charter. This is a code ordinance. I will look to see if it allows for referendum with regard to a change in an ordinance on a matter of this nature.
How is it normally handled, say, in Chattanooga, for example, the Tivoli Theater, which was almost bankrupt prior to selling?
And if I understand, that was done by ordinance, by vote of the non-members of the council. But council, I'll give an answer for that one as well.
You know, we gotta realize too, that Tivoli Theater, the Memorial Auditorium, they are not on parks. They're sitting on the side of the street and stuff.
But children do attend
They
concerts
know
with
that
their
they
parents.
attend them with their parents.
I understand that. We have to be fair. We have to explore it for people that are on both sides of the issue.
Yes, sir, because you are on the beer board. Yes, sir. Please.
Greg Shipley, 6116 Nottingham Drive. I'm on the beer board. At the last board meeting on September 11th, we voted to ask to change the ordinance, number 860, section 8219, and it passed by a vote of 4-0. Mr. Pills wasn't there. More or less come in front of the council members and see about changing that ordinance. We're asking to sell beer at events there are no baseball, softball, soccer, lacrosse, or cross-country events being held. We're asking that we can sell beer in the arena. For example, what you just said, okay, for an example, Ink Impressions back here, they want to sell the beer and everything at their event, but we want to have rules and standards that you got to go by. The special permits, insurance, everything. Make money off this. And the way East River would make money off this would be if Ink Impressions, say, goes up there and wants to rent the arena, I don't know what costs are, if they pay $100, charge them triple if they're gonna sell beer, that money comes back to East Ridge in the proper way, rather than taking, like we do on the concession stands, 34% with Fun Times. If we stay under that kind of rule, let Fun Times do it, and we take 20% of the bill sales, that still keeps us liable into it because money's coming back to East Ridge. But if we charge for the area to be rented, then we get the money up front, and we don't get money per se off beer sales. Anyway, I got off what I was gonna say. The boxing match, it was AT&T Field about 2 weeks ago, and because they called for rain, they moved it to Camp Jordan. If we would have had some kind of beer sales in form like letting Fun Times do it, they could have stepped right in and sold beer at that event because there was nothing else going on in the park at that time. And that's the biggest thing I wanted to say is we're gonna do it when there's not other events. Because I thought about talking to him about a temporary permit, like for he could have all year and be able to do as long as we stay in the guidelines of what might come eventually down the road. The reason, let's see, several other groups have shown interest in selling beer at these events, also Friends of the Festival. They're interested in having an event next fall for 3 days. Of course, that's Riverbend Productions, and they do that, Riverbend, Nightfall, and everything like that. So they know what's going on. They probably use an amphitheater, and all that's in that fenced-in area. And what I've talked to some of them from Friends of the Festival, Karen back here, she actually, we talked about putting a safe zone anyway, even in an adult function, putting a safe zone back at the pavilion, back in the back, and rope it off, and you buy your beer, you drink your beer there, you don't go out into the crowd and drink. A little bit different than you do at Riverbend, you can just walk all over the place, and that usually goes off with not too many hitches either. Karen is also, she's with Friends of the Festival. She's also on the Hamilton County Beer Board. She may be able to answer a lot of questions that I can't or wouldn't even know what to ask. If you'd like to hear from her. Plus, if this does go through, we're going to try to ask the council too that they would put everybody that does come in and sell the beer. There are groups such as Karen and there's other organizations that go out and train the individuals of how to sell it, wristband them, make sure they don't not taking beer to somebody else in the crowd. They got people out looking for that. There's so many things that we got to look at to do that, and I understand it's going to be a hard job for God to have to do too. But we were trying to aim some things back down. Not only would we just want the arena at times, but maybe for them, like come in for a 3-day event and have the music that they'll have to bring in. It's a win-win, because then what we do with them, we just rent out that space for 3 or 4 times of what the normal rent is, and that's how you get something back to the county. And they would be all responsible, whoever takes that license would be responsible for everything. That makes any sense. And I think so. I know we're running out of time for that. But, we've had a lot of things that want to. There's even like Coin Show might do it. Dice Heads come in, they will buy us down. They said they wanted beer, so.
Thank you.
We just, some of that stuff.
Thank you for the information. We're not going to take up the issue tonight in terms of consideration. But if you wouldn't mind, and I'm sorry, I forgot the name.
Karen.
If you would be able to come back in 2 weeks, when we have this on our regular council meeting agenda, I think we could probably have, well, I know we would have more time to discuss it. Technically, I think we're supposed to be in our regular council meeting already. But we'll have opportunity. That also allows council members to maybe develop some questions that they'd like to ask. Gives Mr. Litchford some time to provide information to everyone. I think we could have probably more educated discussion. Thank you.
So I would like to, make a motion to go to something for discussion next week.
Well, you can, it's on here, on the work session agenda. We can simply roll it over. It doesn't require a motion, but it can be on the regular council meeting agenda next time, November 9th, right? And we may want to word that a little differently from how it is here. Obviously, during an agenda session, you technically can't take action on an item. So maybe that ought to be phrased, discussion and or take action of.
Well, it would be, but this is a work session, you can't take action on the work session.
Right, that's
why
what,
it's discussion.
that's what I said,
Right,
yeah,
right.
yeah. We can't take action during this, that's why it's phrased discussion, so theoretically, we could take action at the regular council meeting, so we could reword that slightly. Not that there would be, it may just, again, be another round of discussion, there may not be any action at all. But I think that gives everyone, council,
2 weeks.
citizenry, everyone, opportunity to examine this entire issue more closely and perhaps develop some questions.
Mr. Miller, did you ever get an answer from Mr. Ledford on the question you asked him about this, about the limitation of uses? He says, Mark, per the attached notice of limitation of use, I conclude that the lands of Camp Jordan can only be used in public park per RTF, LPRF, NRTF, and LWCF. And did you ever get an answer on that?
I don't recall offhand.
I don't know.
For instance, we haven't got the ultimate property description. This came in time when I was in Nashville, and so I'll get something for it. Yeah. And that's my fault. I was in Nashville at the time on this. I will look at this and I'll look at it shortly.
That was, you're not gonna say it, I will say it, that was during the time that Mark's mother passed away, so he was.
It was over. It's all it is.
Yeah, I looked at the deeds on it and everything, and, I'd like to clear up something about the deeds, that everybody in East Ridge seemed to think the property was given to East Ridge by the Jordans. Well, folks, that's wrong. Crows own the property, they sold it to they give it to the Bales, and the Bales sold it to the city of East Ridge. And that's why the city had to come up with these grants to be able to purchase it. So,
I think in total was somewhere around 157,000.
I got it right here. Thank you.
147.
$157,500.
Wasn't too far off. Okay.
$157,500, and back October 4th, 1977.
All right, so 2 weeks from now, we will have further discussion on this particular item. Item F, we have board appointments that are coming up. Councilmember Williams and I will have your board appointments that we need to make. Library board appointment for me, as well as potentially, provided we take action tonight, council may need to appoint 2 additional members to the library board. Again, there will be more explanation of that when we get to that particular item on tonight's regular agenda. And then item G, discussion of increase in salary for the court clerk elected into office in November of 2018.
The council provided to the council back during the budget process. You have attachment email dated May 9, 2017 in regard to the court clerk position highlights. If the city council is looking towards increasing the salary, that should be done prior to those that desire to run for this office next year, so they have an opportunity to know what the salary and or benefits are. This salary increase would go into effect after the November 2018 election. I'm not sure when that position is sworn into office and takes office, whether it's a couple weeks after that or the beginning of January 2019, but whenever the court clerk elect in November 2018, the general election, would receive this salary increase.
I think that position is an August election, I think, so they would take, it's not.
No, they moved it to November.
They have moved it, okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
they
that
moved
first
it-
one was in August.
August,
Right.
yeah, and then we took office September, the first was September, and then this election, 2018, they put it on the November ballot instead of having a special election for it.
So if the first Tuesday in November is election time, when would whoever wins that seat, when did they get sworn in?
I would think it would be, when we had the election in August, I think Judge Helton and I took office September 1st. So I think it's the first month after the election. I don't know, I can call the election.
Okay, we can find out first.
Yeah, I'm not sure when it would be since the election's in November.
I would like to have a discussion to discuss about going back to the court clerk being a higher position where we could put her under the control of the city manager instead of being an elected official. And that way she gets paid benefits, what she's asking for.
If I recall correctly, there was an issue, the reason we went to the election process is there's a state statute that requires election. Now, I don't know what other cities out there are doing that. Maybe we're the only ones in compliance, I don't know, but I think the reason we went to that is due to a specific TCA code.
That was my recollection. I'll get an answer for that one.
You know, I thought the reason was because of the discretion between the city manager at that time and ticket being issued, the court clerk wouldn't take care of, and that was his way of getting rid of that position. But I think it was an elected official. But,
I'm not sure that has a whole lot to do with it.
I don't,
and I see a lot of,
Collegedale, Red Bank, Collegedale, Red Bank, none of them are elected. They're all appointed by the city manager. And I asked them if they were elected, because I had Collegedale girls come and check out how we did things in the court and everything. And I heard the same thing you did, Mr. Cagle, about the reason why they went to an elected position, was because of the other court clerk that was here. She didn't live in East Ridge, she lived in Georgia, and apparently her and the city manager, something with his daughter or something like that. But
My
that's-
understanding is that because because of general sessions, court clerk has to be elected.
Now,
That's the state statute.
We do have general sessions jurisdiction where the college delegates do. See, I don't know.
Mr. Litchford, you'll put that on your growing list of things
But I
to
agree with you.
to look
I agree
up.
with you. Because that way also you get somebody that's qualified for the job, and it's not just anybody out the street that wants one.
All right. Well, very quickly, I'm gonna go around the dice here. Yes, sir.
I see this position advertised a lot in that magazine, in the, whatever.
No, the newspaper.
Yeah, I see that position advertised a lot from other cities wanting to hire people to do that job.
If it
That's
is,
the main thing that I'd like to do. I'd like to,
well, if the election is tied to a particular jurisdiction, then it may be that certain cities don't have that jurisdiction, and so they don't have to go through an election process. But Mr. Litchford, if you don't mind researching that for us, that would be.
What jurisdiction is that states we have to do it that way?
General sessions.
General session.
Yeah, see, we do general sessions here too, not only municipal. We have general sessions jurisdiction.
We're getting in line. We don't get these recorded.
That's all right, I'm getting my steps. General sessions is we handle criminal here.
Hey, press the button there. Thank you.
Is it on? Okay. We handle criminal here too. We only can, the most we can do with criminal, I think, is 1129, but still we handle criminal cases here. And then if it's a felony, then it goes downtown to the grand jury. But we handle general sessions and municipal. We do, like when we have revoked driver's license or something like that, we can do it as a state, and then our fines can be greater instead of just under a city code. So we have that jurisdiction. That way we can collect more money. And I think the ads you see, Mr. Cagle, are not for a position of what I have. It's for a position for a court clerk for like what Kathy does, or Micah, or Jennifer.
the
that
one
just
I read,
clerks.
the one I read is when you first put that thing out, the paper, I had it up here that night, and it was identical to what you said your job description was. So,
They handle magistrate work and set bonds and all
I
that
remember
stuff.
you had on that piece of paper at that time, that's what they were.
Yeah, because usually that's for a court clerk position. Like Hamilton County, they have like, I don't know, how many court clerks do they have down there? Well, about 20, 30, something like that. But they only have incidents, criminal, and then somebody is circuit, some is, they have different clerks that take care of like juveniles. But then they have different clerks that work for them. So it just,
Thank you. Do we have anything else, Mr. Cagle?
Well, if we decide to go with the elected thing and go with the salary range that she's wanting plus the benefits and stuff, then where is that gonna top her out with the benefits and everything?
Benefits are approximately 30% of the salary. So if you're looking at, yes, sir, if you're looking at a $54,000 salary, or if you're taking it to, if you're looking at $60,000 salary, add 30% onto that.
Especially what she wants to raise us to, into the 60s.
Add 30% to it.
Good. Mr. Sewell, do you have anything? Mr. Williams? And Ms. Helen? And I don't have anything either, so we will conclude the agenda work session and transition into our regular council meeting. We're gonna, well, first, we're gonna take a 60-second break so we can reset the camera and the tape recorder, and we have a clean break between meetings.